Morning, guys. So my wife said, "Boy, your video shows your workspace is very dirty." Well, I got a lot of stuff going on. Anyhow, so I took 10 minutes and cleaned up the workspace. Ta-da! All right. So we're back working on. Yeah, I know it's wobbly. There, how's that? So we're back working on the carburetor for the lawn boy. I don't know how close y'all want to be, but and like my shirt said, this is my wife being funny. She might be right. Anyhow, so we set this overnight, soaking in the power service. Just power service. This is actually the winter blend. Remember I told you that? If I can find the container. Oh, dusty, sorry. There you go. It's just a fuel additive, but winter blend. So we let her soak overnight, and look at that. Look at that. It's not that big a deal. It's been soaking all night, right? Alright. So we'll let it drain the majority of it out. There you go. And look at this. The bottom of the carburetor, right? Bottom of the carburetor is just these thumb twisters. Look at that. That little bit of dirt comes right off. I probably should blow it off, but I'll wait till I get it further apart. Look at that. And this thing's been sitting out in the backyard for how long? 4 or 5 years. Before that, who knows how long elsewhere. And a zippity turned right off. Whereas now this surface is getting all lubricated, properly cleaned. We'll put that there. Otherwise it goes underneath, it gets under the bench, on the bench top, and that's just some sort of a rubber top and makes it swell in here, spots here and there. Yeah, so if you have a Swiss Army knife and it's got the red case, or if it's not the red case and your the little screwdriver for your glasses that goes in the corkscrew, don't get brake clean on it. Turns to goo. Alright. Enough lessons. So, this thing, she stuck on good. You saw these things came off nice and easy. Let's grab a little prior. And ta-da. What do you think? Yeah, that was a ta-da. And we'll try and save this gasket. Try and put all the liquid back in there. There we go. So you have to pick one side or the other. You gotta pick one side or the other. Leave the gasket over here or leave the gasket over here. And for the most part, it's staying over here. So we would just nice and gentle go up through there. And if this wasn't working, you could use a single edge razor. Nice and easy and slow. Otherwise, you can end up tearing it, like when I pulled that other end apart, the mount, the gasket, or whatever. Yeah, that was this, wasn't it? Yeah. I pulled it apart too fast and I hadn't soaked it in anything. So. Oh, just like yesterday, we were working on, I was working on my mom and dad's Volvo, and look at the gunk in there. Look at that. Big gunkiness, huh? Anyhow, that stuff that I soaked it in sure loosened that right up. So they have 2007, I believe, Yeah, 2007 Volvo XC70, and the brakes were bad. So I went online. I was able to find all 4 rotors, both sets of pads, the hardware. Came with the grease, the caliper grease, and the springs, the retention springs, anti-rattle clips, springs, whatever you want to call them. And it was under 200 bucks. So, and my father had called somewhere looking for prices, and it was a lot more than that, just for, or it was like $174 just for one end or something to that effect. And I was like, well, crap, you know, for another 30 bucks, you get the whole other end. So I'll push that pin out. And the weird thing that I'm seeing is that this float appears to be cork. I'm going to tell you, that's exactly what that is. That's made out of cork. Isn't that some craziness? The needle valve is filthy. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit to clean it off, but it's got the solid bottom. So you don't have to worry about the rubber coming all apart on it. Softens up with different materials, you know. Gasket still looks okay, but you know, I have to push my luck to even get that off there, right? Just have to. All right, slow, easy, baby steps, right? I don't know. Because I want to be able to clean this carburetor a smidge better. And when you start blowing on it, stuff can go flying. So, pickety, pickety, pickety. There we go. We're getting there. Don't count your chickens with a hatchet. There we go. Alright, we'll dab, dab. Dab, dab. And it looks pretty good. No kinks or splits, cracks. So this orifice, which normally comes out with a screwdriver, there's nothing there. But if you look on this side, there's a spot for a wrench. So let's get this piece of rubber off there. What do you think? Side cutters. Sometimes you can just pick at the side and it'll pinch it and cut it. That way you don't hurt the little edges there that seal the hose to it, the barbs, I guess, for a better word. Alright, yeah, we're recording again. The alarm went off. Oh, I'm glad that didn't mess you guys up. Alright, so I've cut through a little bit here, a little bit here. So now I'll just try pokety in it with the screwdriver. There we go. That's off. Garbage. Now, let's warm out. Wiping the sweat. What do you think, 1/2 inch? No. It's never the first one you want. It's like when you crawl into the car with the wrench you think it's going to be, and it never is. So you crawl back out. So that's why I normally, if you see me throw wrenches up onto the bench, I'll normally say, oh, it's either this one or this one. So I'll put them both up there, and normally I get pretty lucky or close. Alright, so I've never taken one of these apart. So it's unscrewing from the inside there. See it? Okay. But that is positioned so that the narrowest piece is between these two posts. So, and I don't know if there's some sort of a mark or if this can only go in one way. But, okay, so that's out. And it is plugged. Of course, you can't see that, but it is plugged. A little bit of goopies there. Okay, so that, oh, it's a different color. It looks like a brass insert, but it's not. It's formed right into the carb. That's just a mold line. Okay. So the other thing we want to do is take the air breather off, which looks like this pin. There must be some screws. So this pin is like a clip. Lily went in the house above us. So there's the clip. There's the heavy screen. And then there should be obviously there's a finer one behind it. This stops the big bugs, and this stops the fine bugs, right? Or dust, or lawn debris, or, wow. This looks like stainless steel. Look at that. That's the air breather. It's just stainless steel, like scrubby. Ugh. Very strong smell when you try and breathe through it, but you can breathe through this really easy. And obviously, well, yeah, I can say obviously because only a part of it, like at my fingertip, this is all clean. So stuff doesn't seem to go in there. And then if you look at this screen in here, that's perfectly clean. I wonder if I move you over under the light a little better. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Nice and clean. So we'll pull this screen out. And then grab a screwdriver and take that piece off there. You just had a screwdriver. Yeah. One that actually fits it nicely, right? You don't want to strip the screws. Because that little one was half the size of this, but nice easy turn. No, see? We want something better fitting than that. Don't try a second time. If you do it once and it slips out, just stop, because these, you're not going to find these parts somewhere else. So clean the groove, and then we'll push down nice and hard. Okay, she turned. I don't know if you heard it. That wasn't my arm. Not that old. Alright, let's try this one. There we go. Ta-da. Now that it's loose, you can go back to anything. You can go to the smallest little screwdriver. Not that you need to, but and it wouldn't hurt it a bit. So there's that. There's a plate inside there just for support, because this is aluminum tin. It's probably just aluminum. And I think that's steel. So let us find if I can get the stuff off it. Yeah, see, tin, or aluminum rather, metal, steel, whatever. So that piece is aluminum. They might have done that for just weight. I mean, we're talking about 60 something. So I imagine aluminum was probably more expensive back then. Maybe not. I don't know. So here is another one of those orifices that we have to find the screwdriver specific, not specific, but well-fitting. So let's go back to the one we were just using. And yes, it goes in there, but you see all that play. And because it sticks out either way, we can use a wider than needed. It's not like we have to fit down inside it. So let's grab the next. This one is 5/16. That last one was 1/4 inch. And the next one up is what size? 3/8. So let's just put the 3/8 one in there. Okay. So yes, this seems crazy to have a screwdriver this big for this little tiny carburetor. However, that's not the point. The point is not stripping these ears to the point where they break off. Like if you take this edge off and then that edge off. So we're going to try and do this with one easy little, like that. You know, like that. Whatever those are called. Those are little exertions of 10,000. No. Alright. So that unscrews, and this is another, any one of these that you ever find, and in the old tractors, the antique tractors, these are always plugged. There could be 2 or 3 holes on this side. Normally there's some right straight across from it on the other side, and this has 2 there, 2 there, so you can pick straight across if you need to. And then of course the hole goes from there to there, so it should be open. And even holding it up to the light, it is not open. You can't see that anyway. So that needs to be cleaned. Alright, and then we have what appears to be, again, appearances, right? Here's the base. There's no adjustment there. This is an adjustment needle, and it pokes right there. You can see the needle coming out in there, maybe. But when I unscrew it, you'll see it. This appears to be the high-speed jet, which I guess it doesn't have an idle jet, unless I find something else. Which is, to me, it's kind of odd. Unless this is like a metering jet, but it doesn't. No, it can't be a metering jet, because then they move normally on a like a Makuni or whatever on the newer snowmobiles and 4-wheelers, and the plunger pulls up and down, you know, and it pulls the needle out of the seat. But if you guys have worked on these, feel free to chime in. I'm not negative Nelly when it comes to that kind of thing, comments wise. So this choke here, most times they seal, they close. This one is not closing on the bottom. So is this thing oblong? See, those holes are kind of like off. So did somebody loosen that, and those are supposed to be up and down? Because they don't look bent. But there is a mark down in there. Like somebody stuck something in there and pried on it. Hang on. I should have a flashlight out here so you guys can see better. Where is it? There it is. Is that mark down in there? And you never know. You never know what people I mean, this thing is 10,850, not that old, but you know, it's old. So let's close this, get that little tiny screwdriver that we had. Now, its end is not great either. So I'm going to use the better end up here, because it just about fits that screw by itself. And it is loose. So we'll loosen it up a smidge, and then we'll rotate that. And look at that, now it closes. So let me open it back a little bit, tighten that down so we don't bend anything. Yeah, that definitely closes now. So let me snug her up. So apparently somebody had this thing apart, and there's a number 603438 maybe. But that could be just a casting number. It might not be a Carb number. 603488. 603488 is the number on that. No other numbers. That's the other end of the throttle shaft. That opens and closes really nicely. I mean, you would think this thing was a brand new carburetor by that. That works good. That's clear through. That's clear through. So it looks like everything in here, this hole here is just a breather, a vent. It goes up from there and it comes out here to there, and that's to let the carb fill up so it doesn't get airbound, lets the float work properly. So this now is as far apart as it needs to be. And that gunky is pretty loose. Yeah, it's pretty loose here and there. So I think what we'll do is we'll soak it for just a little bit longer. There's a dandelion stem in there. I think I got it. Yep. We'll soak that like that. That's 100% covered. I still can't believe this. Cork. It's crazy. And they just clamped a piece of brass into it, top and bottom. Isn't that some stuff? I guess if you have cork and you don't have the copper or the tin or whatever that they use to make the float, and being able to solder it and make it airtight so that it doesn't absorb gas, right? Let's just stick this in there and, oh, definitely floats. Jeez, yeah. So she is still a lifetime of good. I mean, they used a lot of good parts in this. A lot of times all these pins in the new carb kits are steel. This is brass. That part is brass. There's no rust at all on the reeds. And yep, they move very good, very gently. So that groove that we talked about yesterday, you know, I said that the gasket was against. It must be on the motor side. Yes, on the motor side, there's a top hole and a bottom hole in the crank, and that just equals the air out, which I don't know why you would want to do that, because the crank is the crank. I mean, the area between here and you is all wide open, so why I would have to even this, I don't know. It's there. I can't even imagine. Maybe in some sort of an oil exchange, maybe, it's just theory, maybe there's some sort of a centric or centrifugal or pump or like a piston pump that chainsaws use, you know, to pump oil to the bar. Maybe it pumps oil from the motor into this, because that's about where the bearing looks like, and then it would come out here into the top bearing. And so if any oil accumulated here, it's lubricated. Up here's not. So if it pumps up to here, then they're both lubricated, and that motor spins over really, really nice. So anything's possible, right? Okay, so this one here, because it's filthy, I'll pick at some of the nests that some wasps have put in there, and then I think I can get, it looks like I can get it down in there to shut some of these drawers. Put some tools away. That way they're not just spread out. Of course, you know I'm going to need them again, right? Of course you are. Okay, so let me pick at that a little. And this must be an old wasp nest because, well, who knows? I was just thinking it hasn't been out there long enough, but it has this year. They could have laid that this year. But it didn't feel like anybody was home in there, so let's try wiggle wiggle. I got 2/3 of it in there. So when we pull the carburetor out, we'll turn that over, put it back in. So for now, we are at a point where we'll take a break, go eat some lunch. The gasket looks okay, but we still have to clean this out inside. Okay, so I have this little thing here, and I think it's a Coleman, I think, could be wrong. I think it's a Coleman fuel stove funnel. But what I like to do, like you saw, is I'll put stuff in it, and then when I put it down in the liquid, even if the liquid only comes up to here, it'll come up through to that level. So I can put this down in there, and then stick this in here, and it doesn't come up far enough. So we'll have to, well, that's if you have small parts, you don't want to drop them in there. But I'm just going to set this in there. I'll put it right in the throat of the carburetor, and there we go. Not that I've never put my hands in there before. Alright guys, so that's long enough for now. I apologize for making these things so long, but that is that part of this reintroduction to life of this carburetor. So let me know if I'm going on too long, and if you want me to piece these things together, like shut the camera off, turn it back on. But a lot of times I want to see the total steps, not just like take the carburetor off, show it to me clean, yeah, I cleaned it, show it to me on, and the motor running. So, you know, I could do that, and this video could be 3 minutes long, but it didn't show you what I was doing and how to do it yourself. So, well, you have a good one, and we'll do another part. We won't make this one any longer. Have a good day. Stay safe. If I can